Hey y'all, Danae here, also known as Miss Anderson or Miss A. Today we're just going to do a short video discussing some educational issues, or really one educational issue. So in our class we've been talking about like literacy and problems in literacy and how reading scores are low and stuff like that. And I know as a teacher, I see that every single day. I'm a high school teacher. I work in an urban area, Title I school. And students really aren't reading the way that they should be. They're not reading on grade level. They're not comprehending what's going on. They have struggle. They have all types of struggles. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the struggles that kids have, talk about some of the problems in our educational systems, and then also come up with some solutions. Hopefully this video will help other educators, the information that I give you, as it has helped me. All right, so the first problem that I've seen from my personal experience working in the school at a high school level in an urban area is a major lack of competency, not just amongst teachers, but administrators as well. As far as teachers are concerned, the biggest thing that I see is that you have a lot of teachers in a classroom trying to teach literacy, but they don't have a background in literature, or they don't have a background in education, period. And so that can become a problem for students and the teacher as well, because it's kind of like, it's almost like teachers, they don't know what they're doing. Granted, teaching is something that you're called to do, and so you may not have gone to school for it. It doesn't mean that you're not a teacher. However, if you're going to be teaching literacy or teaching any content, you need to have some type of training, some type of background. Secondly, one of the major issues that I've seen and that I've experienced personally is a lack of competency amongst administration. And so you have a lot of administrators and you have a lot of people in leadership positions, but they're not effective leaders. And the reason why they're not effective is because they don't understand the dynamic of their staff or their employees, and they don't understand the dynamic of the students, which is most important. And so it's almost impossible to set expectations and to have goals for students that you know nothing about, that you can't relate to, and that you don't understand. And it's almost impossible to get students to comply if they feel like you don't care about them, or if they feel like you can't connect with them, or you don't understand where they're coming from. So it's extremely important as a leader to understand the dynamic of your school, or of your schools, if we're talking about district-wide. And so to add on to the last point about incompetent leaders, there are too many people trying to implement too many programs into one system. And so when you have too many reading programs and you want teachers to implement all these programs within 1 year, the program is not effective. It does not help the students, and it only stresses out your teachers because there's no consistency. The purpose of having a reading program is to get that consistency going. And so less is always more. Having too many programs in one system, it never works out well. So I think that reading specialists across the board and administrators should consider choosing 1 or 2 programs that they want each grade level to implement, and then just do that. Another issue that I've noticed that kind of affects students' academic success is a lack of parental involvement. And so a part of getting students to read more or to read better is having them to practice. And so if kids are doing all this work at home, and then they go home and there's no one at home to hold them accountable, or, to make sure that they're actually practicing what it is they're learning, there's no way that they're going to process information. And so if there's no one at home to hold them accountable or to help them with reading skills, whatever skills it is that they need to develop, there's no way that they're going to be successful in reading. The last problem that I want to speak on before we move into like our solutions portion is that schools and school districts are not properly using data. They're requiring teachers to collect all this data weekly and bi-weekly. However, every time something new is implemented, it just seems like it was just thrown in there. It's like some people aren't even like looking at the data that's being collected. And so it kind of makes me wonder, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other educators wonder, like, why are we collecting all this data? How is the data being used? And if the data is being used, it's obviously not being used properly, because programs that are being implemented are not helping our kids. Okay, so moving into the solution portion, as far as in the classroom, I think it is important to understand the cognitive factors, to understand like what is it that helps or hurts the student when they are reading. And so one thing that I have written down here is that it's important for students to have background information before introducing new material, a new text. I can't stress how difficult it is to get students to comprehend literature that they cannot connect to. And so even if they have no personal experience, it helps to simply tell a story. You know, it helps to show a video or to do a PowerPoint presentation. It helps just to give them that little bit of background information. This school year, we were reading Elie Wiesel's Night, which is a memoir, and it just basically like shares Elie Wiesel's experience with the Holocaust and things like that. It would have been impossible to get our kids to, one, be interested in the book, and to, two, understand what was going on had we not given them some background information on the Holocaust. Because although we think that because, you know, the kids are in high school and that they should already know certain things, a lot of times they do not, for whatever reason. And so giving them that background information, doing a PowerPoint presentation, showing a quick video on YouTube, or reading an article about the Holocaust, you know, things like that really helped our kids to understand what was going on, and it really kept them interested in what we were reading. Another factor to consider is to make sure that you are putting kids in I guess like a position in which they can think critically, they can think for themselves. So it does not help to give kids the answers. It does not help to ask them questions and then answer it if they don't answer it quick enough. You have to allow kids time to think through things and to solve problems on their own. And it takes a lot of patience sometimes. You know, a lot of times the kids can be kind of stubborn, you know, if they feel like they're not thinking fast enough, they don't want, you know, anything to do with what we're talking about. But I'll give kids time to think critically, because when you rush them and make them feel like they need to hurry up, or to make them feel like they're thinking too slow, it discourages them and it makes them not want to participate anymore, which can hurt them. Also, when giving kids new material to read, or when, you know, going over a reading material, whether it's an article, a memoir, a book, an autobiography, whatever it is you're reading, make sure you are putting them in a position to read actively. And when I say that, give them an assignment. You could be reading together, but give them an assignment. Write down 3 questions that you have about the book and find the answer. You know, like a pre-reading exercise or something like that. But you want them reading actively. Otherwise, they're going to zone out. They're not going to be engaged. And when kids are not engaged, they are not learning. So you want to put kids in a position in which they are reading actively. The last solution that I want to present before closing the video out is it is important to make sure that schools and school districts are providing our parents with the resources they need to help our kids. There is no way that we can expect our parents to be more involved if we are not providing them with access to resources to help their kids. I know a lot of times in urban areas, in low-income areas, parents are not involved because they don't know how to be involved and they don't know how to help. They don't have strong backgrounds in literacy a lot of the time. And so when you provide them with these resources, they're going to feel more inclined to help their kids, and they're going to feel more prepared. No parent wants to feel like they're setting their child up for failure because they don't know. And so if we give them the resources so that they can know, they're more likely to help their kids.